Good morning and welcome to Unmuted. My name is Courtland Warren, and thank you for your time and for your attention. Thank you for listening. I do believe that we are in the attention economy, and the most valuable thing that you can give is your attention. And so thank you for that. I appreciate that. Today's episode of Unmuted, we're going to look at what is often considered something that it's not. Right? How about that for like a tongue twister, right? It's like it's often considered something that it's not, and we're going to explore that in greater depth. We're going to explore that in greater depth this episode. That being said, Unmuted is really about you as an individual taking the mute button off of your own life. It is about you embracing that you're capable of doing more, being more, and having more. For those of you that I've not got the experience of meeting, my background is in the personal development industry for over 20 years. And in that 20 years, the thing that stood out to me most was that there are individuals who have been silenced. There are ideas that we never get to hear about. There are brilliant minds that are never revealed. There are ideas that are never shared. There are books that are never written. There are songs that are never sung. There are businesses that never get started. All because along the way, someone started to believe that they weren't good enough. They essentially asked themselves the question of, who am I to be great? Who am I to be extraordinary? Unmuted is my attempt at a solution for more individuals like yourself to find their voice and live the life of your dreams. Today's episode is entitled, Not a Problem. Now, how often have you found yourself in a situation where maybe you asked a person a favor or someone asked you a favor and, they said thank you and you were like, no problem. Or they asked you if you could assist and the time hasn't arrived yet, but you told them that you could and that it would be no big deal. So that's what I mean when I say not a problem, no big deal. What we're going to explore, though, more intently in this episode is what makes a problem a problem. Because oftentimes we're considering it a problem when in actuality it's not. It's a circumstance. It's an issue, but it's not a problem until one unique thing happens, right? And we're going to explore that in just a moment. To kind of build the framework or the premise here for this episode, I'm going to start with food. It's still morning here in Oklahoma. I haven't had breakfast. I had a bit of a workout, all right? So maybe depending on where you're listening, particularly if you're listening live, you haven't had breakfast yet. And so this is like not really a breakfast conversation, but we're going to start with food because I'm kind of hungry. All right. So here's what the science says. Humans consume on average 2,000 calories a day. Okay, on average. Now you can do your math. You say, "Oh man, I'm definitely not an average human." Now you might be saying that because you eat less than 2,000 or more than 2,000. That's not my business. But a person could say, okay, I'm better than average, or I'm not average. But humans consume on average 2,000 calories a day. And those calories, okay, your body converts it to energy. And that's the energy or the fuel that it uses to move you throughout your day. It is true that you could actually look at your food intake and determine a place where you could actually get more energy depending on the foods that you eat, like what you allow to enter into your body. I'm working through that. I'm definitely not an expert on it. And so I really work not to teach things that I don't practice. That's it. So 2,000 calories. Your body then converts those calories into the energy or fuel that's used to operate through your day. Now, you might think that, okay, well, the body, so I got 2,000 and it's going to be these calories and this energy is going to be evenly distributed throughout my body, right? In proportion to, right? The size of that, organ or, that body part. Get the idea? So, at least I would think, okay, it's like, okay, I got 2,000, I got a whole body. I got 2,000 calories. That's going to be my fuel for the day. And so, I want all parts of my body to operate. And so, I would imagine then that, as this is being distributed throughout my body, then it's going to be evenly or equally distributed, right, in proportion to, right, its size. Okay, so my pinky finger, right, may not get as much as my shoulders. You get the idea? That's my naivete in thinking in that way, because that's actually not how it works. Actually, what's happening is, particularly as it relates to your brain is on average about 3 pounds. Okay, work with me here. We're going someplace. All right. So your brain weighs on average 3 pounds, which is about 2 to 3% of your body weight. Okay, again, these are averages, but 3 pounds, about 2 to 3% of your body weight. If we were looking at, okay, now I take all the calories, all the energy, right? That would mean then that my brain, okay, in this example, should only get 2 to 3% of the, of the available fuel. But that's not what happens. That is not what happens. In actuality, your brain consumes, of the 2,000, your brain consumes 500 calories per day. Or, said differently, 25% of the energy that we use every day. 1/4. 25% is going to, your brain requires that. Now, what does this have to do with anything? What I want you to see is that your brain, okay, and all of the things necessary to function and run your body, okay, but a lot of times what's happening is we are using that available energy and fuel to give attention to or spend energy on things that don't even matter. We are actually using fuel that could be more, we have these energy leaks, and these energy leaks become a waste of energy, because with all of the responsibilities that your brain has, it also has the function of thinking. And unfortunately, or fortunately, right, depending on what you're going to do with the discovery, what's happening is we oftentimes are using that available energy and fuel. We are using it and giving attention to things that really don't matter, or situations that really have no effect. To say it differently, we spend way too much time in worry. If it is true that 85% of things that we worry about never come to pass, then that would mean that 85% of what you're worrying about, those odds I would take all day, 85% of what you're worrying about never comes to pass and doesn't happen the way you thought that it would, or the way you fretted that it would happen. So if your brain is requiring all of this fuel and energy, it is incumbent on us, it is our responsibility then to ensure that we are using it most effectively, and that we eliminate in our lives the energy leaks that could be zapping the energy that we could use to create, discover, design, build the life of our dreams. It might be that at the end of your day, when you've carved out the time to work on your side hustle, or you've carved out the time to work on your business, and you don't have the energy to do it. It may be that you're not lazy. In fact, I don't even believe that there are lazy people. I believe that individuals will do the thing that is most important to them, but that's a different conversation. That said, a lot of times you don't have the energy to do it, not because you're lazy, not because you don't want it, not because you're not serious about it, but because your brain has used up all of its available fuel, and a lot of times it's spent on worry and things that don't even come to pass. So let's look then, or let's define differently what a problem is. I credit, the gentleman's name is Bill Burnett, And in listening to him and kind of studying some of his work, he's an adjunct professor at the Stanford School of Engineering. And when he talks about a problem, right, what I appreciated about his definition was that most times what individuals are considering a problem is not a problem. Catch this. It's not a problem, it's a circumstance. And it does not become a problem until it does not become a problem until this one thing happens. And that is you choose to own it. See, it's not a problem for you until you decide that you're going to own it. And by own it, I mean you're going to work out a solution. Many people are calling things in the world a problem when in actuality it's a circumstance or situation because they're not committed to doing anything about changing the outcome. So when you look out, I may ask a person, is world hunger a problem for you? And a person would initially say, well, absolutely, absolutely. Right? Is our economy a problem? People, absolutely, absolutely, right? And they get pretty adamant about it. Right? Are racial injustices a problem? Many people would hear that and say, absolutely, no doubt about it. Right? And I say, well, based on this definition, it's not a problem for you until you get committed to doing something about it. It is not a problem for you until you get committed to changing that circumstance. So, and to say it differently, it is not a problem unless or until you are willing to take ownership of it. Without ownership, then it's a circumstance. So what you've got to determine for yourself is, as you assess it, as you look at whatever's going on in your life or world, when you look at it, you must honestly ask yourself, if whether or not this is a thing that I am willing to take ownership of. All right, I decided to take a drink of water instead of choking on this live. All right, so it's not, so when we look at, is it a problem? Then you got to look at first, can I solve it? Is there a skill? Is there an attribute? Is there a quality? Is there something that I can bring to this situation that is actionable that will then lead to a solution? If it's not actionable, it's not a problem. It's a circumstance. Okay? So when you look at it, right? When you look at whatever it is that's going on, when you look at it from where you sit, from what you are able to do, when you look at it, you must ask yourself, is that situation or circumstance, is it actionable? And then, if it's not actionable, then for you, it's not a problem. If it is actionable, then for you, it can move into the category of problem. Now, how do we then relate this to you? I want you to take an assessment right now of your life. Okay, we're going to do it really quickly. Right, while you're driving, you just bring it to mind. If you're at a place where you can write, jot it down. I want you to take a look at your life, and in your life currently, what are the areas of your life that can be changed? The areas of well, I guess it can all be changed. What are the areas of your life that you would like to change? Okay, areas of your life that you would like to change. And so I want you to jot those down. You might write down my finances or money, okay? My health, okay, physical body. Okay, areas of your life that you would like to change. Money, finance, health, physical, relationship, or lack of, or maybe you want a relationship. What are the areas of your life where there are outcomes that you would like to change? Okay. Now, when you look at those, okay, which of those, okay, your money, your health, your relationships, which of those are actionable? Which of those can you do something about? Okay. I believe that you'll look at it and say that each one of those areas is something that is actionable. Okay. It's actionable because you can do something about it. Now we move from, okay, well, if I can do something about it, now how do I design a solution? It is not about fixing a problem, it's about designing a solution. We don't fix problems, we design solutions. Okay? So now, if you aren't willing to take on that problem, then stop complaining about it. That's really what we arrived to in with this episode, because you have a couple of options. When you look at your life and there's something in your life that should not be, or something in your life that you want to be different, when you look at it and it's actionable, there's something that you can do about it, then you must determine if whether or not you're willing to take ownership of it to the extent that you will take action, or you could choose not to. It's not for me, right, to come in, with my loud voice on this podcast and tell you what you need to do, should do, ought to do, must do. It's not my role, right? It's your life, and you're living it the best way that you know how. But understand, I got a little Amber Alert there. I guess I need to figure out how to turn that off. I think, I don't know, my bad, my little phone and watch go, Amber Alert. You know what? You know what that is? That'll be very preachy of me. Okay, so my apologies there. All right, so, well, that's how you can know it's live. All right, so that being said, you got to determine if whether or not you're willing to take action on it. Because here's what's annoying. Here's what's frustrating for your coach, for your mentor, for people who have an answer for you, is when you complain about what's happening, but you're unwilling to take action to have it be different. So you have full right to remain where you are. That is your full right, and no one can say otherwise. You have full right to stay exactly where you are. You don't have to go start a business. You don't have to make $1 million. You don't have to, be in relationship. You don't have to, have children. You don't have to do any of those things. In fact, you're going to live according to what your highest values are anyway. You don't have to spend 10 to 12, 17 hours working on a business. You don't have to stay in on the weekends and do work rather than go out. You don't have to do those things. It's your life, and you can live it as you choose to live it. But understand this, what you don't get to do is be unwilling to pay the price. Be unwilling to pay the price and continue to complain to a person who actually has the solution. That's where I get off. It's like, I can share with you a solution or a framework. You've got to determine if whether or not you're willing to take action on it. Okay? So everything in your life, from money, health, relationships, purpose, and all of those things are actionable. So we know that, but it is not just because it is actionable, it does not move into the category of problem until you are willing to take ownership of it. And ultimately, that's what your responsibility is. When a person asks me, according like what is responsibility? What is personal responsibility? This is how I see personal responsibility. I see personal responsibility as simple as this. Personal responsibility is your obligation or your commitment to be better today than you were yesterday. That's it. It is not about your comparisons to someone else. It is not about how good you're doing or how bad you're doing compared to what someone else is doing. Ultimately, your responsibility is to be better than you were the day before. That's it. So a person says, well, why does that matter? It matters so that you don't struggle. It matters so that you don't struggle more than is necessary. That's it. Are you better today than you were yesterday? And when you look into your life, is it a problem or a circumstance? It's not a problem unless you're willing to own taking a new action towards it. Otherwise, it's a circumstance and you can just see it as an event with no energy on it. See, doing this will allow you to conserve energy. If you move through your life and you just simply determine, is that something that I want to take action on? Is that something that I commit to take action on? And what you'll see is most of what you read, most of what you listen to, most of what you watch, okay, are not things that you are truly committed to doing anything about. Most of what fuels your conversation is not anything that you're committed to doing anything about. It's conversation, it's topic, but most of the time it's trivial. Why? Because you're unwilling to truly do anything about it. And so what we're really talking about then is developing the habit of working on your problems. We'll leave the circumstances, maybe they are passions for someone else. You've got to determine you don't got to, I suggest that you determine the areas of your life that you are going to take action on, and then develop the habit of working on it or doing it, okay? So what is habit? Habit is essentially, all right, habit is the formation is the formational process by which a behavior is, hold on, how do I want to say it? Its habit is the formation or the process by which a behavior through regular repetition becomes automatic. That's it. When we talk about habits, okay, we're talking about a behavior becoming automatic through regular repetition. How do I develop new habits? It's through the regular repetition of this new behavior. That's it. So when you look into your life, then what are the habits that are serving you in fixing a problem? Or what are the habits that are serving a solution to your problem? And what are the habits that are increasing its presence in your life? That's it. Okay. A lot of times in personal development, we make things more difficult than they have to be. I like to, as best I can, simplify it while also applying principle. Okay. So the opportunity then that you have in front of you is simply this. How do I then design solutions? How do I design solutions for what you've identified as problems? Okay. Your willingness to take responsibility for. And what are you responsible for? You're only responsible for being better today than you were tomorrow. You don't compare yourself to where someone else is today. Okay? You don't compare yourself today to where someone else is today. You compare yourself today to where you were on yesterday. See, if you compare yourself today to where someone else is today, based on, and we don't know how much work they put in, how long they've been at it. When you compare yourself today to where someone else is today, then you'll likely lose. You compare yourself today to where you were on yesterday, and then you take on the responsibility of being better tomorrow. That is ultimately responsibility, and it leads to peace of mind. So in designing then a system or solution for what you've identified as the areas of your life where you want to be better, in that design, you create a strategy, you create a plan. I'd love to help you with that. When you create a strategy, you create a plan. Okay, and understand that, it says Mike Tyson, you likely heard this quote. Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Right. So what we're getting at here is that every plan, right, will not be perfect. All right. So for those of you who are, it's got to be perfect before you start, understand that it's not realistic. And if you expect perfection, then you've got to be willing to suck for a very long time. You got to be willing to be bad for a very long time. You got to be willing to get on your podcast and not even know, which button to hit. You got to be willing to accept that some Amber Alerts are going to come in. You got to be willing to get tongue-tied and have to refer back to your notes, because I care more about you getting accurate information than I care about how polished my presentation was. You got to be willing to refer to your notes if you lose a thought. You got to be willing to prepare before you even come on. You got to be willing to have people comment on everything about what's not right about how you're doing it. You got to be willing to receive feedback from people about, well, you need to do your videos this way. You need to have this quality video. And it's like, are you even a person that's doing anything? Or are you the person that can tell what everybody else ought to do? See, what you've identified, person A or person X, what you've identified is a circumstance. What Courtland has going on with his podcast is not your problem, because you aren't going to you're not going to take any action to have it be different. So save this for the people who are in action. Save this, save the struggle, save the inconveniences, save the embarrassment, save the imperfection, save that for people like you who are listening in. Like, save that for the resilient entrepreneurs. Save that for the people who are willing to do the work of being laughed at, being criticized, being mocked. Save all of that for and then when you wonder how in the hell they got there, then you can just know it's because they were willing to do something that you weren't. All right. So in most cases, it's not even a problem. It's a circumstance. It's not a problem until you take ownership. And why is ownership important? It's because of this reason. You can never change what you're unwilling to own. You will never change what you're unwilling to own. So I don't know that I'm in a place to solve world hunger. So I can't take that on as a problem. I'm not in the place to fix, the debt crisis, in the United States. So I don't give a lot of attention to that, because I am not in position to solve that, or at least I don't take that on as something that I can actionably do. I don't worry about who's sleeping with who and who's doing what with who and who's in relationship with who. I don't do that, because that is not something that I am going to go in and take action on. Does that make sense? All right. So you would save yourself a lot of time and energy if you would give yourself permission to only consider the issues that you're willing to take action on. And if you're not willing to take action on it, then don't allow it to be an energy leak, because your brain is doing a whole lot of other stuff for it to be leaking energy to trivial things that you're uncommitted really to even doing anything about. And ultimately, it comes back to you. In every area of your life, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, in your business, in every area of your life, in the world that you have created, you can take action on it. And what you must then determine is whether or not you're willing to do that. I want to share a story with you. It's one that I've used a lot over time. Kind of relates to something I was sharing in the previous episode about the law of relativity. And I want you to take the areas of your life, whether they be circumstances or problems, and I want you to apply this story to it. It's the story of the Chinese farmer. And if you've heard this before, let it be a reminder. If you've never heard it, open your mind, and I'll let this in. Once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer who lived in a small village with his son. One day, his horse ran away, and the neighbors came to console him, saying, "What bad luck! Your horse ran away." And the farmer replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned with a herd of wild horses. The neighbors came to congratulate him, saying, "What good luck! You've got all of these horses." farmer replied, maybe. The following day, the farmer's son tried to ride one of the wild horses and fell off, breaking his leg. The neighbors came to console him. What bad luck! Your son broke his leg. And the farmer replied, maybe. The next week, the army came to the village to recruit all able-bodied young men for the war. But the farmer's son was exempted because of his broken leg. The neighbors came to congratulate him, saying, what good luck! And the farmer replied, maybe. This story teaches us that events that seem negative at first can turn out to be positive in the long run. And what seems to be positive at first is also equipped with some negatives. It's all a matter of perspective and how we choose to view the events of our lives. A thing, a situation, circumstance, it just is. And there, in order for it to exist, then both aspects of positive and negative must exist also. Everything in your life and world is not a problem. Understanding this can save you some energy. Everything that's going on, you don't have to obsess about. All of what the news reports doesn't have to become something that frightens and is scary to you. The news of the economy and the news of war and whatever's going on with politicians, as you listen to these things and they come in, they enter your mind, it's taking your energy, it's zapping your energy. And because it's taking your energy and your brain is giving attention to it, then you don't have the energy to go out and make the contribution in your life that you are worthy and deserving of making. And I don't want that for you. I want you to look out into your life. I want you to look out into the world and determine where is a place that you can make contribution based on what you have to give and offer. And then singularly focus on that, because you will not be able to fix or design a solution for everything. Everything is vying for your attention. Understand that. Creative ways to get your attention, to grab your attention, to hold your eyeballs, to get your ears, so much. And if you haven't determined what matters most to you, if you haven't accurately and precisely determined what you are going to consider a problem, then you will have your energy flowing in so many different directions with no plan, with no vision, and then nothing to actually speak of as it relates to what your potential is. You have a muted life. It would be like filling your it would be like filling your car up or your vehicle up with gas and then driving to your office and just leaving the car running. Just leave it running. Yeah, that's fuel being released, even though the car isn't moving. That's what happens for us as human beings. We have energy being released, but it's not in a direction. It's without any real movement. And it is energy being released. It's fuel being used on anything that we give attention to. My recommendation: determine what really is actionable. If it's not actionable, it's not a problem, it's a circumstance. If it is actionable and you choose to take ownership of it, then you design for yourself a solution that remedies it. Doing so leads to an unmuted life and existence. I hope that helps. If it does, don't keep it a secret. Let someone know that this exists. I see you as an alchemist. You are an alchemist. You're a person who has the ability to take thoughts and they become things. You can have an idea and have that idea be actualized or manifest in your life. That's who you are. You're an alchemist. You're not alone. You never have been. If I can support you, there's anything that I can do to help you uncover, unblock, unravel the ways of thinking that are in the way of you having more of the life that you want, then reach out. We'll see you next week, every Monday, 10 a.m. Central Time, another episode of Unmuted. My name is Courtland Warren. We'll see you next week.